And maybe you'll connect a little better with the Generation Z, and you can always just say, hey, guys, we have to be a little bit nicer to the millennials over here. They're very sensitive. And that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Just kidding, millennials. We love you.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
Right now, while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
We took our notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies led Craig and I to selling more than $10 million in premium in the last 2 years.
On this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the same results.
Just go to live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
If you jump on this call with us, we're certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there. Welcome
to
another page from the insurance playbook, agency playbook.
Playbook 2, page 2.
What page?
We need like little football noises in there.
Oh yeah, huddle up. Huddle up.
Huddle up, everybody. It's playbook, play number 2.
Play number 2.
What's play number 2, Mr. Jason?
Goal setting.
Oh, you almost brought in soccer. Goal! That would be a great time for Stream Deck to work.
Right. Goal setting. By the way, I think the Stream Deck does work.
Well,
let's not shift the blame there.
Well, I Googled StreamYard and Stream Deck and just nothing. It gave me pictures of somebody fishing in streams.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to goal setting. Yeah. Goal setting, wow, what a perfect time to talk about this.
I know.
We're kicking off the new year. Oh, another sports analogy. We're kicking off the new year, Mr. Craig.
What sport does that come from?
The foosball, I believe.
Yeah, it is the foosball.
Yeah, so goal setting, and it's super important. I think it's super important. Okay, I know that some people don't like doing this at the beginning of the year. You should be doing it all year round. Yes,
yeah,
you should. True. But you have to understand something too. I think that our team looks at the new year like, wow, it's a new year. Should I stay with this agency or leave?
New year, maybe I could find something that pays a little bit more.
Right. So there's all those things. So, I mean, it is important for us to set some of these goals for the year. And I think it's super important to share these goals.
Yeah. Well,
with your team.
So we're going to have our goals for our agency, right? Our definiteness of purpose, which is our goals.
Yeah.
But we're also going to have those goals for which we set for our team and our individual team members. And if there's that potential that, okay, it's a new year, maybe I should be looking for something else or see if there's anything else out there. This is where those goals that you work with them to set, you translate into something that aligns with their own personal goals.
Right.
It can't just be, okay, so what do you want to write? This much. Okay, great. Let's go for it. Right. It's got to be deeper than that. And I think if we can understand what really drives our team members, like if Jenny wants to have an Audi, okay, let's work into that. Let's back into that, because right now Jenny may think owning an Audi is impossible, right? But what if you show her the path to that happening? How much more valuable does this job mean to her? Does it turn from a job to a career?
Yep. 100%.
If we could keep them, right? If we could keep the people that we bring on, and if we could hire the right ones and keep them, what a huge time savings and what a huge way to avoid our hair turning gray.
Right. And
No
I
offense.
think none taken. I think that the whole thing with goal setting too, psychologically, is everybody wants to be a part of something. One of the biggest factors they say with millennials or newer into this world, what younger people care about is being a part of something, a movement. They don't care to make as much or to own as much according to statistics. But I mean, what I've seen even in our own agency or even with myself is that having like more of a purpose, more of something to work for becomes a bigger driver. So if that's the case, then we need to, as the coach in our agencies, we need to define those goals and be crystal clear and be able to relay those goals and the clarity of them to our team so that they know exactly what their goal is every day. And I think a part of the goals too is your vision for the agency, your mission for the agency.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm forgetting one. Mission, vision. One we were just talking about, Mr. Craig.
Incision?
Incision. No, not incision. But really, inception.
Reception.
But vision for sure. Like where in mission and having those.
Oh, we were just talking about.
We were just talking about this too.
You know, Ecamm had a pause button.
Oh, yeah. There's no pause button. Vision, mission, but having that, having those things that like this is who we are is huge, because then you have an overall view of the way we should conduct ourselves in the office every single day and the way we should interact with each other or interact with our clients. I think that is super important.
Right. And
values, Mr. Craig,
values. Yes, of course. And we have to realize what's really nuts is that now we are dealing with, remember, everybody would complain a little bit, or all the old people like us that are Generation X, we would talk about millennials, say, oh boy, those millennials. Well, I bet a vast majority of who's listening right now are millennials, right? Or if you're in our Generation X, then you certainly have millennials as your employees. But now those folks are actually above 25 years old. So you're in essence dealing with the generation after, which is known as Generation Z, or what they call them, the native, electronic native, or it's a really weird term. I have it here. Weird. Yeah, it's the digital.
Where do you go after Z? That's it. Is it
AA? So it's generation. It's the digital generation. Digital generational. I mean, this is crazy.
It's all crazy.
Right. So we have to be able to create those goals that are going to get them excited, right? We have to get a different group of folks excited. And if you're in that
and
generation,
get us excited,
right? There's got to be, again, not to go back to what we did, but I will, you got to create that connection, because nobody's going to hop in that boat and row in the same direction if there isn't some connection, right? If there isn't a driving force behind it.
I totally agree. And I think it's what people complain about millennials, because that's pretty much all that we have in our agency. What people complain about is crazy to me, because it's like, dude, just shift your focus on where, like, your style, and it actually becomes advantageous to you because it's easier. Like, if all they wanted was to make $100,000 plus, like that's the only thing, it would be hard, right? Because you can't afford that sometimes, you know?
Well, but you could show them the path.
Right. But creating, like, if purpose is more important, then it's a lot easier to create that purpose, you know? And I just think that we should spend a little bit more time on that.
Yeah.
And the results are astounding. Yeah. I think
that alignment. So yeah. I think I'm going to give some insider secrets to aligning or creating those goals for millennials versus a Generation Z. Okay.
Love it.
So Generation Y, or millennials, is that 25 to, I guess, 35 area, right? So of right now. And so the millennials are interesting because they need to love what they do. They're a little more touchy-feely. They have some, feelings there, and we have to align with it, right? They're not as competitively driven And if this isn't good or bad, it just is, right? So it's important to have that information so that we can make those goal planning meetings of value, right, for everybody.
Right.
So what's interesting, and I mean, this is on the fly that I've done some research on it, but Generation Z, so the one that's after the millennials, is financially focused. They're entrepreneurial, and they obviously love technology. They like to interact with other people, and they're competitive. So that's very interesting, isn't it? That sounds a lot more like us in a way. And maybe it's because those folks in Generation Z are the offspring of our generation.
Right.
So I find that very interesting. So some of the younger folks, if you can determine that they fall into this criteria, then that's really good, especially in kind of the structure that we've had in place for a long time, right? And where we've worked with other Generation Xers and the more competitive folks. And that's okay. And again, it's like you still have to find out, right? You still want to test and ask the right questions so that you get to how are you going to properly motivate the people? Because I know that trying to motivate millennials with the way that I was motivated when I was making cold calls at Merrill Lynch doesn't work, right? It's a much different approach. And there's evidence of that by the turnover that I had when I took that approach. So,
right.
But I do find it interesting that the Generation Z, I guess the primary difference would be really heavy technology, right? They've grown up with iPads attached to their hands, and so they know the technology. And that could also be a really great asset for some of us octogenarians like me who maybe aren't as good at technology.
Right.
You know?
And you bring up an interesting point that both of those generations, totally different motivation. But I think that's where you got to double down on the communication. And I don't mean to rhyme, but if you double down on the communication and you really understand your team, then the goal setting, you can really align it with them personally, because they might,
Right. And maybe you'll connect a little better with the Generation Z, and you can always just say, hey guys, we have to be a little bit nicer to the millennials over here. They're very sensitive. And that's okay. Right?
Yeah.
Just kidding, millennials. We love you.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best advice, but
yeah, it was just a little poking fun. I love the millennials, and a great helper for the millennials is an old episode we have with oh gosh, I see his yellow glasses he was wearing.
The Millennial Whisperer,
Chris Tuft, the Millennial Whisperer. Great book, gives some really, really valuable insight into that generation. If you're a millennial, I think it'd be a great read because you'll see what people are saying about you. And I think that it's really good for us to understand, because at the end of the day, we're all humans, we're all people, we're all made of the same stuff. We just grown up at different times. And so whatever we can do to work together and get to that result, right? Because we always want to be successful. So I think that could be the way to wrap up a page 2 of the playbook. What do you think?
That's right. That was a page from the playbook, and we will see you on the next Insurance Dudes.
After you subscribe and like. Hey, what are you still doing here?
Well, while you're still here and while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
Yeah, if you weren't listening before, we took notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies did help Craig and I write over $10 million in premium in the last couple years.
And let me tell you, on this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the very same results.
Again, that's live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
And if you jump on with us, we are certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.